What's up guys, I'm Rip and I just got back from NorCal Regionals this past weekend. I wasn't planning to go because they didn't have a Tekken tournament there, but at the last second I kind of changed my mind just because Markman and the Mad Cats guys brought Tekken 7 there, and I figured since there wasn't a Tekken tournament, it would be a good opportunity to get some hands-on time with Tekken 7 since not a lot of Tekken players would be there. So I went there and that's exactly how it worked out. So I figured I'd put together this little video and kind of share my thoughts on Tekken 7 and the characters that I've played so far in the game. Now I should note this is the same build that was at Final Round where I also played the game, and that build does not have regular Jin or Devil Jin in the game or Josie. So those characters are not in the game, it's the same old build from before. Alright, so general thoughts about the game. First up, the games are much shorter. Since there aren't two characters, you don't have to worry about red life recovering. It makes each round much shorter and it makes the games much faster, which in my opinion helps the game and it's a lot funner because of it. Second, the slow-mo. Oh my god, this is by far the coolest feature that they've ever put in any Tekken ever. So, I mean, you've all seen it in videos by now, right? And, you know, someone's about to die, potentially, and these moves come together, and you see it, it's all hype. But let me tell you, when you're the one playing in the match and that happens, sometimes you're like, wait, I think I did the right thing? Did I do the right thing? Is that gonna work? And it's just the coolest thing ever in any Tekken, so I love it. Number 3, the new combo system. Now, when I first seen the tailspin, I kind of thought of it as, or I should say screw attack actually, because that's what it's actually called, so screw. But when I first saw it, I thought, this is just like Bound, it just looks different, whatever, not a big deal, right? But as we've seen the game flesh out, we see now that if you do the old Bound moves, it spikes them, and then now there's a back roll from that spike situation. And for whatever reason, just having these new combo options from the tailspin makes the combo system way funner to me. So you kind of have this new combo structure plus the kind of old wall combo structure, and you still have your floor breaks and balcony breaks and the wall breaks, and all that stuff still works the same way. So all your legacy skills still kind of carry over, but you've got this new combo system to work with as well. So it makes the game funner for that reason as well. As for the Power Crush system, it still seems like something that's not fully fleshed out. Like sometimes you'll use it and you'll get this huge benefit, but other times you'll use it and it'll just be totally worthless. So even when you land your Power Crush, you look at how much health you lost and you'll be like, was that worth it? I'm not really sure. So right now the Power Crush system for me is still up in the air. Not really sure if I like it or dislike it. As for the rage arts, I think they're really cool to watch, but at the same time I wish they were way cooler. Like I wish that the screen would change colors, you know, or just something more dramatic than just seeing it and seeing the same kind of moves that we've already seen in the Tekken games. You know, there's not really enough personality in each of the rage arts for my tastes. Like the Steve one, that one looks tight. The King one, point at the camera, that's tight. You know, I wish there was just more stuff like that for each of the rage arts, and I think that would make it a lot more interesting. Or even if there were more cases like Kazuya, where he can use the rage to transform into devil, or if, for example, Paul's rage art, where he can cancel it and go into a combo. You know, those are some of my holdbacks about the rage art system. The other thing I really dislike about the rage art system is that out of combos, the damage is just worthless. It's kind of like, why even do a rage art in a combo ever? It makes it so insignificant when you add it to the end of a combo that it's really not worth doing it even. Alright, so let's move on to character impressions. At NorCal Regionals, my main focus was to try out more of the new cast of characters, so Lucky Chloe, Shaheen, Claudio, and Katarina. And so I didn't really play much of the old characters, so I'll start with the old characters first. Of course, martial law. Right now, I think this is one of the funnest versions of martial law I've ever played in any Tekken ever. The increased speed for his legend kick is amazing, but of course they've shortened the range on it as well, and the damage is not as high as it used to be, I think, because I hit someone counter hit and it really did not seem to do much damage. So it seems like a pretty good trade-off. They made it way faster, but they cut down the range. It's still a high attack, and the damage isn't really as big as I feel it should be on counter hit. So that's interesting, and I really love it. You know, his new DSS low is actually kind of a nerf, because on counter hit it gets knocked down, sure, but it's actually his old DSS 4-3 string, which was the 2 kicks from Junkyard that launches on counter hit. So instead of a launcher from DSS on counter hit low, now it is just a knockdown. So that's kind of actually a nerf from a new animation, but because of the new animation, you know, it's kind of funner to use. Law also has a new move with forward 1+4, and it's got a slight sidestep left built into it, but in general I feel like it's not really useful. I'm not really sure how bad it is on block yet, but it is kind of a fun move to hit. I think it might be useful in situations where it's a balcony break or a wall break, that sort of situation where you tailspin near the wall and you just want to break it right away with one power hit, that seems like where the new move is going to fit in. Also, they gave Law his 4-3 string jailing properties again, so now if you block the first hit, you cannot duck the second hit, which is fantastic. Very few people were actually doing it, and I felt like Law was less fun to play without that option. If you still duck the first hit, then both hits are going to be high and you'll get a launch him anyway, so, you know, really an interesting trade-off there, and I don't think that having 4-3 jailing is going to break the character at all. One interesting thing that I found out is that, of course, he does not have his auto parry back, right? That was way too powerful in Tekken 6. They could have done it Tekken 4 and Tekken 5 way where the auto parry window was really tiny, but they've opted to not have it in there at all. However, Law can now use his Power Crush moves from DSS. Both his DSS 1+2 and his DSS forward 3 are both Power Crush moves. So basically, any situation where you could have used an auto parry before, you kind of have an option now to use the Power Crush in that place to kind of get an auto parry. So it's not as effective. It can be beat by lows and throws, but you know, it is an option that Law has now from DSS. And of course, you can mix up this new Legend Kick because it's so quick. You can even mix up the Legend Kick with running threes. Not the smartest mix up because Legend Kick can also be sidestep, but it's all a lot of fun. And with the new tailspin system, you know, you're able to combo into the Legend Kick a lot more. Law is just a ton more fun, and I love him in this game. As for where he is on the tier list, a lot of people are saying he's like super high tier, but let's not forget they're supposed to be somewhere in the mid 30s for the number of characters, and so far we've only seen 20. So there's still another half of the roster about that's still to come. And I think that, as we've seen now with Devilzin's release, you know, he's got a Hell Sweep that's a combo starter on a regular hit, not even counter hit anymore. So I think Law is going to steadily drop down the tier list. And I think this was the same way it was in Tekken 5.0. At first, Law seemed like, oh, Law seems pretty strong. And then, oh wait, Steve's got an infinite, and Nina's really strong, and Brian's really ridiculous. And I think it's the same kind of situation that we're seeing here. So I don't think Law is going to be a super top tier character, but he is going to be a ton of fun for anyone that uses Law. The other character I tried was Paul Phoenix. And Paul seems kind of ridiculous in this game. The thing about Paul is, since the rounds go so quickly, sometimes you'll have like 35% of your health left, maybe even 40%. You're not thinking about dying at this point. And then, boom, one Death Fist, you're dead. And that is where Paul really shines in this game, because Death Fist is so powerful right now that a lot of times you just don't give the opponent the opportunity to have a Rage Art. You know, like if they try to use a Power Crush on you, it doesn't matter. They're eating a ton of damage from that Death Fist. So Paul seems really good, and also he's got like counter hit 4 combos. Overall, I think this is one of the best versions of Paul I've ever seen. You know, the change with down back 2 is interesting as well, so Paul is definitely a character to watch out for. Let me also talk about Ling Xiaoyu. Princess Ling was at NorCal Regionals, and I got to play him about 5 games. We went back and forth, but I was very, very surprised at how evasive Ling was. So, I mean, obviously Ling is already an evasive character. She's got her Art of Phoenix stance. But with Princess Ling, one thing I noticed was I knock him down or something, I have her on the ground, and she immediately back rolls to something safely now, right? It's safer to get up off the ground in this game, and she can go back to AOP again. So that kind of makes her more dangerous because she's way safer and she has more opportunities to get into AOP. So I think that Ling is actually going to be really strong in this game, especially in the hands of a strong Ling player like Princess Ling. Now let me talk about the new characters and my quick impressions of them. Obviously, you know, I played a lot. I spent most of my entire Sunday just playing and trying out all the new characters there at NorCal Regionals. You know, some people may have said that I was hogging the Tekken 7 machine, but let me clear this up. We kind of agreed, you know, it was set to be 2 out of 3 matches. And I talked to people there and I was like, hey, do you guys want to do this rotation? Because this rotation kind of sucks. It takes forever. You know, why don't we just do it arcade style? Winner stays on and just 1 match each. We'll just get everyone to rotate in and out quickly. And everyone there was down with it. All right. Now, if everyone had told me to switch it up, I would have switched it up, but I didn't, you know. So, you know, looking back at it, did I play a lot? Yes. If I had to go back and change it, would I have done anything differently? No. All right. So let's talk about the new characters. First up, in terms of beginner friendliness, Chloe, I actually think that Katarina and Shaheen are pretty close. I think that Shaheen might even be a little bit easier for a beginner to pick up and, you know, do his basic combos with. His combos are very simple to get into, and he does decent damage as well. Katarina, on the other hand, she actually has stance transitions, so you have to do like down forward 1-1 hold forward, you know, back 1 hold forward, that sort of thing. And I think that makes it a little bit more difficult. But at the same time, I played against someone there who, when they were using Katarina, they're just mashing up 4-4-4-4-4, and then 3-3-3-3. They were like, oh my god, this is a combo! And they were freaking out. They were loving it. Katarina has like a low trip that's full launcher. So if you're looking to go to Evo and you're looking to just scrub people out, Katarina's low launcher, and she's got a stance that lets a big low knockdown as well. both of those are probably going to wreck a lot of people at EVO. So be on the lookout for those if you guys plan to attend EVO. So, you know, for a complete beginner, I think Katarina is going to be a lot easier to use. But for someone who knows how to play Tekken and you just want to pick up one of these 4 characters really quickly, I think Shaheen is the way to go. Now, one thing I should mention about all of these 4 characters, when I initially saw all of them, I wasn't really interested in any of them except for Shaheen. Like when I saw Katarina, I was like, ew, that looks terrible. When I saw Claudia, I was like, oh god, why? And then when I saw Shaheen, I was like, alright, that guy looks kind of legit. And I saw Lucky Chloe, and of course, at first, I was like, bleh. But then of course, you know, the more you see of her and you see everyone's reaction to her, you want to use her, right? And they talked about her gist frames, etc. And I was like, alright, she sounds like she might actually be an interesting character to try out. So that was my mentality going into it beforehand. But once I tried them, I can honestly tell you, I actually enjoyed playing with every single one of them. Katarina I thought was going to be a total mash fest, but she has these stance transitions that actually make her a little bit more complex of a character, and I think that's going to be really interesting as she gets fleshed out further. Claudio was the character I kind of stayed away from. He's actually the last character I tried, but he was actually very interesting, and you know, charging up that blue hand, or not charging it up, but using moves to get the blue hand status, and then using moves from that blue hand status, that was an interesting mind game that I really haven't experienced from a Tekken game before, so I thought that was really cool. Shaheen, I've mentioned it before, but I feel like he is a lot like Lee, and it actually really makes me wonder if Lee is going to be in the game, because he's got a similar down forward 1, he's got a slide, he's got the a down 2 that works pretty much the same way as Lee's as well. He's got the generic down forward 2. You know, he's got his hop kick kind of looks like a flip kick, so that's kind of like Law, which Lee is also kind of like as well. So it really makes me wonder if Shaheen is kind of a replacement for Lee. Even his down back 2-1, I don't know what the frames on it are, but it's similar to Lee's forward 2-1 in a way, right? Not exactly, but kind of. So it's going to be really interesting to see if Lee ends up in the game, because that would make Shaheen, Lee, and Law all kind of, you know, that archetype of character with the crouch dash mix-up, etc. And with Shaheen, I should mention that his crouch dash mix-up is pretty good. You know, he can either do while standing 3-3, he can do while standing 2, which is an unbreakable stun, he can do the hop kick out of it, or he can just do the slide. So Shaheen, pretty solid character. Now, Lucky Chloe, by far the most complex of the 4 characters. If you're looking to just pick up the game and pick one of these 4 characters to just start beating people or doing well with them, Lucky Chloe is on the bottom of your list. Any of the other characters would be easier to pick up and learn. That being said, Lucky Chloe may have the most potential out of all of these characters. You know, she's got these gist frames, like for down forward 2, she hits 4-3-1, and she kind of does her down forward 2 launcher and just kicks in the air and then she tail spins them down. She's got moves that leave her back turn, and from back turn she's got launcher options, she's got other move options. You know, she obviously has some stuff that looks like capo-like, but even with the capo-like stuff, there's a gist frame aspect to it, so if you're just mashing it, you're not going to get the most benefit out of it. So she's also really punishable. Her hop kick is actually launch punishable, so you can do a hop kick and get hop kick right back in the Lucky Chloe mirror match. It's kind of ridiculous and it's kind of weird, and I wonder if any other characters have that kind of thing going on. But Lucky Chloe, definitely not an easy character to pick up, and I actually think she's pretty fun to use, and the gist frames aren't really super difficult. I would say they're more like Paul's Demolition Man in terms of difficulty. So it's not extremely difficult to use her, but you're going to have to spend some time learning the ins and outs of all of her stance transitions to really be effective with her. So with that being said, I think that she is going to be kind of a good replacement since there's no capos out right now. If you're a capo player, Lucky Chloe is probably the character you should look into learning. In terms of combo difficulty, I'd probably say that Shaheen is the easiest to combo with, followed by Katarina, then Claudio, then Lucky Chloe. So let me talk quickly about rage arts. I think that the rage arts right now, they need more polish. You know, I'd like to see more variations the way they could be used. I feel like the damage scaling is off. You know, I know they mentioned that they've changed some of the scaling in it, so potentially that's already different in the newer versions of Tekken 7 that are out there. So I'll have to try that out again later. But right now, I really feel like it really needs to be reworked. I also ran into a weird issue with one of them once. So if 2 people trigger a rage art at the exact same time, you only get to see the startup animation that triggers with the rage art for one of those characters, because the cameraman only picks one of them to focus on. So one time I was Law, I was going against Katarina, you know, we both end up doing our rage arts at the same time. Camera goes to Law, he does his little like, ooh, I'm about to rage art you, and then right when his thing starts, Katarina just starts a rage art. She just starts kicking the crap out of him. And I was like, what just happened? She didn't even like pose and say anything, you know? So like, she was basically like, this fool is all posing. I'm just gonna kick. So that was kind of weird, and I thought that was strange because time freezes during a rage art anyway, so there's no reason that the game shouldn't show both of the characters' startup animation. As I mentioned before, the damage scaling on it really needs to be reworked, which leads me to my thoughts on the release date. Now, right now the damage scaling and the combos, specifically with King, if you look at the damage scaling on that Shining Wizard combo he has on the multi-floor break stage, he just does a hop kick Shining Wizard, right? And that does about 35-40%. Usually not a big deal, but on a floor break stage, it drops them down where they're still facing the correct way for them to still combo you and end with another Shining Wizard. And you can see that obviously that combo does like 60 or 70%, which is ridiculous. The worst part, since the stage has multiple levels, if you're going against a King player and he only gets that one floor break per combo each round and you don't break this floor again, he can use that combo each round of the match, which is kind of broken in a way, right? So that's heavily in King's favor to use that stage. Other than that, I really feel like, you know, the game's balance is a work in progress. You know, there have been a lot of patches already. They could still patch things on the way out. So I really feel like this game is going to get a Tekken 7, you know, like an update to it. Basically like Tekken 6 Bloodline Rebellion, you know, there was 6.0, then Bloodline Rebellion. There was 5.0, then there was Tekken 5 Dark Resurrection. And if they do that, I'm concerned that we're not going to get the game forever. So, I mean, I don't mean that. I just mean it's going to be a much longer wait than we want, right? So right now, because of the way the Rage Arts works, I feel like if they do like a Tekken 7 update, like, you know, Tekken 7 whatever, CR or whatever it is, I feel like they're going to rework the Rage Arts, potentially add a second Rage Art to everybody. You know, they're going to change those little bugs on there. They're going to look at the damage scaling. They're going to look at ways to fix all that. And I feel like that's probably going to be something that happens. And because that's going to happen, I don't see that happening for at least 6 months after the game comes out, because the game hit arcades March 18th or so, right? They've got at least 15 characters time release, right? I mean, that's kind of the number we're guessing at. And Harada kind of said that they're looking at maybe every 2 weeks or something to time release. You know, it wasn't an official number, but if you assume that there'll be like maybe 2 characters every 2 weeks, that's going to take at least 7 weeks. It's March, April, May, June. You're getting to June time, so it's about 3 months before we have all of the characters even released. And then they probably got to let that flesh itself out for a while in the arcades to see like what they actually need to patch and change for, you know, potential Tekken 7 CR or whatever. And so then that Tekken 7 CR, whatever, like the earliest I can see that coming out is this fall in arcades, right? And so if we get the game, you know, 6 months, a year after that, we're looking at earliest to get it next spring, maybe next fall. You know, who knows? Who knows? Maybe it could be early, maybe it could be late. But obviously I want this game as early as possible, as I'm sure all of you guys do as well. So yeah, that's basically all I've got for you guys on Tekken 7. Markman mentioned that he is going to be trying to take the game out to as many events as possible. The next event coming up is going to be Northwest Majors. That's April 24th to 26th. I'll be there, Rick still will be there, Eris will be there, Cody Vu, Anakin, Lil Majin, Run It Black, Incognito. A ton of Tekken players are going to be there. So if you guys are in the Seattle, Washington area, come check us out at Northwest Majors. You know, hopefully you guys around the country will get a chance to play Tekken 7 as well. Because right now, the biggest complaint I have about Tekken 7 is that I can't play it. Alright, so that's all I've got for you guys. This is my first time doing one of these videos, so you know, I'm not really sure if we'll do more of them. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. I'm thinking though, why don't you guys, if you guys have any questions for me about Tekken 7 or my experiences with the game, leave your questions in the comments below, and maybe I'll put together another video like this, you know, to basically answer your questions. Of course, you guys can hit me up on Twitter, REEPAL. You can also subscribe to this channel so you get notified all future videos. Huge shout out to all my Twitch subscribers. You know, you guys on the board of awesome right here. Boom, you guys are the best. You guys can catch me at twitch.tv/levelupyourgame. I stream a lot of Tekken there as well as whatever else is out. Next week, probably going to be a lot of Mortal Kombat X on there. So yeah, that's about it. Catch you guys next time. Peace.